Matrix Home Solutions Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. 'Tis the season, and as we launched our Food for the Poor Christmas campaign yesterday with the goal to feed more than 5,000 children in Haiti this year, we wanted to get someone from Food for the Poor on because I don't think it's too difficult to paint the need in Haiti. I think most of our listeners understand the situation in that third world country. It's been that way for a long time. It's actually gotten worse recently.
Right, especially because of the pandemic.
Exacerbated by the pandemic as well as the political upheaval with the assassination of their president. But how does it get done? In other words, why is Food for the Poor the best use of your marginal charitable dollar this giving season?
Yeah, and today is Giving Tuesday, so remember.
To help us answer that question, we're pleased to be joined by Todd Chatman from Food for the Poor. Todd, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, Todd, are you there?
Do we have Todd?
We spoke to Todd last week.
Okay. We're going to be able to speak to him again or no?
I don't know.
Do we have him or not?
Hold on. Stand by. We're working on it right now. But while we're waiting for Todd, again, as Dan mentioned, our goal this year is to feed over 5,000 children. And we're asking people to make a one-time donation of $37. That's it. You can feed a child for 6 months, or a gift of $185. You could feed 5 children for 6 months. It's really that simple. So if you're wondering what to get, little Jimmy or Ginny or Bobby this year, you can make a donation in their honor, especially on this Giving Tuesday when people are deciding, what charity to give to. This is the one we've been working with them for years for a reason, because 94 cents of every dollar we raise goes directly to feeding hungry children in Haiti. The number to call is 844-862-4673 or visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. And Dan, you want to tell them about our business benefactor program?
Yeah, so 90 cents, 90 cents on the dollar, that's a very well-run charity. 90 cents on every dollar raised going to programming. I've been involved with enough to know the thresholds here. So check them out on Charity Navigator, any other rating agency, you'll find the same. But this means your dollars are getting to those in need. And Food for the Poor has already done amazing work in response to the earthquake that struck Haiti in August. They shipped more than 128 containers filled with emergency relief supplies. And think about that in the context of all these supply chain issues we've had, that they were able to do that because of the infrastructure they've built in that country. But, of course, food remains a critical and ongoing need. The Business Benefactor Program that we've done every year with this campaign is really great because it's mutually beneficial, not just in terms of the benefit you get from feeling good about making a donation to a worthy cause, but you can help your business. If you're a business owner or you make the marketing decisions for a business, the Business Benefactor Program works like this. You, the business, makes a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 directly to Food for the Poor. And AM 560 will provide your business with 40 one-minute commercials to air on this station during our primetime programming hours, Monday through Friday, between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. And to do that, you call to get into that Business Benefactor Program. Just call our general sales manager directly. She handles it directly. Anjanette Netkowski is her name. You can call Anjanette at 847-472-8951. Again, Anjanette at 847-472-8951 for the Business Benefactor Program.
And it really is the best deal in all of Chicago radio. And think of like Tom Sedeka, Precision Payroll. They started as a business benefactor. Remke's Garage, the list goes on. And it's really a way to help others in need, especially during this holiday season.
All right. For more on this endeavor, we now have Todd Chatman from Food for the Poor. Todd, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Good to be with you guys.
Good to have you. And we were just talking about the program and the work that Food for the Poor does generally, but why don't you give our listeners some of the specifics of what you're able to do in Haiti, and how their marginal charitable dollar that there's going to make a decision to provide food for the poor with, how that will help the work that you do there.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity. Well, first of all, I think one of the things that I'd want to really let people be aware of, because this is not something that's being talked about in our mainstream media here in the U.S., but there is truly a humanitarian crisis happening right now in Haiti. The World Food Program is estimating that nearly 5 million people are severely food insecure. I mean, they're sitting on the brink of famine and starvation, and it's not getting any coverage. It's 700 miles off of the coast of Florida. They're our next-door neighbors, but because it's, Haiti, and Haiti is always in some semblance of turmoil, it's not being talked about. But the reality is this is a humanitarian crisis, and it's something that you can do something about as you choose to partner with Food for the Poor. We've been in Haiti for 35 years. That's one of the things that makes Food for the Poor really unique, and really I think that hopefully your choice of a charity to partner with if you want to make a difference in this humanitarian crisis. 35 years there. We have hundreds of points of food distribution all across the nation. We've got tremendous infrastructure. We have about 400 national employees that conduct our work down there. We've got the infrastructure, the shipping, all of the goods procurement, all of that is already in place. And Amy, you had mentioned a couple minutes ago the efficiency of Food for the Poor. Over 94% of all the gifts that come into Food for the Poor actually end up, feeding these starving people, these starving families. And so if you want to make a big difference and do something during this holiday season that's going to make you feel good because you're literally stopping people from starving, then really hoping that you'll choose to partner with Food for the Poor and give your $37 or your $370, just whatever you want to do. It's going to make a huge difference today.
And Food for the Poor, I mean, it is the largest non-governmental organization in Haiti. And how have they been able to work through all of this? I know that a lot of, people on your team haven't been allowed to go to Haiti because of the civil unrest. Yeah. And so how are they making it work?
Well, it's like I said a minute ago. We've got a huge warehouse, system there. And you've seen at our headquarters. We actually do have Haitian staff on the ground, and so that makes a huge difference because we're not having to depend on sending Americans into Haiti to conduct our work. Even if our American staff can't be there, our Haitian staff is still there. And admittedly, it's a challenging time. There is a lot of civil unrest, and there are some times when our operations are hampered a little bit for maybe a few days or a week at a time, but when things kind of settle down, we get back at it. But we have security teams that are guarding and protecting our food shipments. And this is the thing that I really want people to understand, too, because it would be completely understandable when we hear in the headlines about civil unrest and gang activities. It'd be easy to think, well, why do I want to, contribute to that? You're not. You're actually contributing to saving the victims of that very, that terrible behavior that these gangs are carrying out. And so this is a way to continue to reach those innocent victims, these kids, these families that are just trying to eat. But because of civil unrest and the earthquake and the foundational poverty of Haiti, there's no way they can afford to even just, provide enough meals to feed their kids on a daily basis. But you can do that through Food for the Poor.
And I mean, I suppose the good news of this, too, is with respect to the government, you're left to your own devices to do this work because, frankly, it's in the government's interest, regardless of who's in charge, to see their citizens get fed and survive. And that's you're doing for those Haitian citizens what their government can't do for them or won't.
Yeah, and it's really true, Dan. I mean, as a matter of fact, after Hurricane Matthew a couple of years ago, our executive director of Food for the Poor down in Haiti was in a meeting with other NGO leaders and the president of Haiti, and they were talking about, okay, well, what can you respective NGOs do to help us recover from this massive hurricane that just devastated the island? And so they said, well, here's what we need. We need houses, and we need to replenish crops, and all the list of things. And our executive director, when a need was presented, he would raise his hand and say, okay, we can attend to that, we can do that, we can do that. The president, after the meeting adjourned, the president of Haiti called him in his office. And this was his first exposure to Food for the Poor as a sitting president. And he said to our executive director, it became very clear to me in that meeting that there's two charities at work in Haiti. There's food for the poor, and there's everyone else, all the others. And I think that speaks to the fact that, just for 35 years now, we have endeavored, thanks to the generosity of our donors and, frankly, God's grace, we're a faith-based organization, just to do whatever we can to help the poorest country on this side of the world. But I want you to know how important you are in the mix of this, because without your generosity, without your gifts of $37 or the business benefactor gifts of $2,500, we can't feed these starving families. And so I really hope that you'll choose to be a part of what we have been doing now for years at this time of year, partnering with The Answer and just literally saving lives in some of the deepest poverty in the side of the world.
And how did COVID affect, and the lockdowns affect the most in need in Haiti? I mean, I think about those villages we went to and the orphanages and, where things were shut down. I just can't even imagine how hellacious it must have been for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been personally going to Haiti for over a decade now, a couple times a year until the last couple of years when COVID hits. And, Amy, you've seen it. The poverty in Haiti is staggering, and I've been to a lot of developing countries around the world. Haiti is a whole other level. And COVID, one of the things that COVID unleashed globally in the poorest countries around the world was a food crisis. It completely decimated the supply chain. All of the things, and the experts in my field, relief and development, basically the long and short of it is, over the last 2-3 decades, we had made some pretty significant strides in kind of pushing back poverty and lifting people in the poorest countries out of destitute poverty. COVID basically rewound that clock by 30 years, and so it's these families that were already poor to begin with, now they're hanging on the ragged edge of starvation. And that's true in Haiti. That's true in South Africa, many countries in Central America. So it truly is a global, disaster. But the good news is it's something that we as Americans, to the extent that we just have a heart to help and we have a few extra dollars in our pocketbook, we can make a big difference, and we can get back to helping some of the poorest people in the world.
One of the things I like about Food for the Poor is both short term, like, there's an urgent need to solve this first problem, but then also long term. We've talked before with you before about this, where it is helping to build sustainable lives for these Haitian families. So clean water supply, building homes you just referenced earlier. So there's sort of the short term. Obviously, we need to feed people right now because people need food and water every day. But then medium and long term, it's about turning, the keys over to them and having them live independent lives.
Yeah, that's really our focus. And, in the years just in Haiti alone, our 35 years, Food for the Poor has become the biggest builder of schools in that country, and we've built more homes for single families there than any other NGO in operation. And we've provided, again, thanks to our generous donors, we've provided clean water for millions of people in Haiti. And it's really amazing the difference that we can make when we just kind of bond together, and everyone just says, "Hey, you know what? I can do this to help, and I can do this to help." But you're right, Dan. Right now, we're squarely in the middle of emergent relief work right now. We hope we can get back to more development kind of stuff, but right now we need to stop kids from starving. That's our primary focus right now, but we can't do it without the generous listeners of The Answer to make a difference.
All right. Again, that business benefactor program that I was referencing and that you just heard Todd mention, Ann Jeanette is our general sales manager. You call her 847-472-8951, $2,500, and you get 40 one-minute commercials that air on our airwaves Monday to Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., our prime broadcasting hours, $2,500 tax-deductible gift. That's the business benefactor program. And then to make a gift in any amount, Amy.
Yeah, then we're asking for $37. That could feed a child for 6 months. Also, any gift would be appreciated, but a gift of $185, you could feed 5 children for 6 months. To make a donation there, 844-862-4673. Again, 844-862-4673, or visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Todd Chatman, Food for the Poor. Todd, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Always good to be with you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.